Welcome everyone to my next video. This is using masking and deleting backgrounds from an image in Photoshop. This activity I used for grades 3, 4, 5 and 6. So that's about 8 years old to 12 years old. I showed them how to take away the background of this picture of Superman here, which is quite an easy one to do. And then I switched to the Batman one, which is a harder one to do, and went through some of the issues and how to refine the edges in that one. So let's switch back to the Superman one and let's get started. So the first thing I can see is that we've got a picture of Superman here on a very clean white background. It's a high contrast between the Superman image and the background, so Photoshop shouldn't have any real problems finding the edges in the background here. On my tool panel here, I've selected this one here, which is the quick selection tool, which you can select here, or you can press W. If for some reason you've got the magic wand over here, all you have to do is hold down the button, your mouse on this tool here, and then go and switch back to the quick selection tool. So what we've got here is a circle with a plus on it, and what that's doing is it's adding to the selection. I want to select the background so then I can press delete and delete it so it's on a clear background. That's the idea. So all I really need to do in this case is just to do a quick paint over here, and now you can see these dotted lines over here around the image. It's actually around Superman and then around the edge of the top here, which says it's the white that's been selected, not him. I'll do this bit over here, which gets his cape in between his legs here, and then on the right side here, and then lastly on this side of his hand and arm there. So that was very, very quick and simple to do. I've just selected all the white, and I don't think I can see any issues. None of Superman's been selected. So the next thing I have to do is I have to unlock the layer. By default, when you open up an image in Photoshop, the background layer is locked, which means you can't delete or add things to it. So I'm actually just going to unlock that, and then I'm going to press delete on my keyboard, and then you can see that you've got that pattern in the background there, and that is showing that it's on a transparent layer. So that looks perfect to me. That's all been done right. So now let's go to the Batman picture. Now this presents some other problems. I can see that Batman is on not a clean layer. It's a sort of painted kind of background here. There's some greys and some whites and variations of both. It's also fairly similar to his costume here, so I picked this on purpose. So it's going to create some difficulties, but let's just see how we go with the quick selection tool. I'm going to use my square bracket keys on the keyboard. The right square bracket key will make the brush bigger, the left will make it smaller, and just make sure as well, I'm just going to go up to the brush here at the top and just have a look, make sure that your hardness is on full, 100%. That's what you want in this case. And I'm just going to paint the left side here and see what I've done. So it's done a pretty good job, but if you look closely, you can see along his ear and his head and his shoulder that there are some things that have been selected that should not be. And remember, we're trying to select the background, not him, because we want to delete the background. So before I go and select anything else, I'm just going to try and fix that up. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press Z on my keyboard for the zoom and just click a couple of times to the ear here. I'm going to hold down my space bar, so that will give me the hand tool, just keeping on holding that down, and then I'm just going to drag so I can pan around what I need to do. So I'll go back to my quick selection brush. I'm going to make it much smaller. So I want to take away this selection. So what I want to do is hold down the Alt button on the keyboard. Holding down the Alt button will change that plus in the middle of the circle to a minus. So now just carefully, I'm just painting in over here where his ear is, just doing a few little simple clicks, and Photoshop's doing its best to find the edges. It's actually doing a pretty good job there. There we go. Holding down the space bar to drag and pan and see what my next issue is, which is around his shoulder here. So holding down the Alt button, clicking around his shoulder there. Photoshop's done a pretty good job. Oops, make sure you keep on holding that Alt button down. Okay, so I've got his shoulder there. Let's get this part over here. Okay, that looks pretty good. That's going around nicely. This part here. You want to be as accurate as possible. Okay, around his armor here looks good. This little bit needs fixing, so again, holding down the Alt button and then just dragging that across here. A bit more looks like it needs to be done. And a bit more there. And a bit more there and there. And I think that's done a pretty good job. Let's just zoom out. I'm going to press Control 0, which fits it to the screen. And the left side, that's pretty good. I'm very happy with that. I'm going to unlock the layer, press Delete. I'm just going to do this in stages. So that stage looks pretty good. I'm going to make my brush a bit bigger now. And now I'm going to select between his ears here. And that's actually done a pretty good job. Just a little bit here needs fixing. I don't think I need to zoom into this. Just hold down my Alt button and just fix up that little bit there. Press Delete. That looks good. Make my brush a bit bigger. Now I'm going to do the right side of his body. And oh, I can see there's quite a bit of problems here. His ear's not too bad, but as we go along his shoulder and his arms. So I'm going to try and doing this again without zooming, just holding down the Alt button for the minus and just going along his ear, just to that white around him, that's actually a white glare. That is part of his costume, so we want that. So I'm just clicking around here, and Photoshop's doing a really good job of finding those edges, going around his shoulder there, and then his arm over here. And there's a little bit here that I could fix if I'm being really pedantic, which of course I am. Go back to my brush, make my brush really small, and remember I want pluses for the background because I want the background selected. So let's just fix up that little bit there. Looks like down here now needs a bit of fixing up. So it's really just a process. I've always got my finger on the Alt button to switch from plus to minus, just as I need to. So that's not too bad. That looks pretty good. Over here on his shoulder, just needs a little bit more work. Remember, minus for his body. There we go. All right, let's press Control 0 and zoom out. That looks pretty good. Pressing the Delete button, that looks excellent. So now we've got Batman on a transparent background. So obviously, the Batman one was harder to do, and it was harder because the background was busier. So what I did is I told the students they had to do the Superman first, just to show me that they understood how to use the tool and how to select the background, how to unlock the layer and how to delete it. So then I said, now you can choose whatever you want. The Batman one is a little bit more difficult, but I had some other ones. I had an Iron Man, I had a Supergirl and a Spider-Man that had really busy backgrounds. So it would take, it took me, a few minutes to do that. It would take them quite a long time to go through it, look at all the edges, fix it up as they needed to. And it is a challenge, especially for the younger kids. It was a challenge, but that challenge proved very useful later on when they were making up their own composites. They were used to how to use the tool and what the issues would be and how to fix them up. So there you go. That's my quick video on how to do how to select a background and delete it in Photoshop. Thanks for listening.